Heyo, you're tuning into Toasted Time, where I cook your time with some Reddit stories. Right now we've got malicious compliance, where productivity over everything else is actually a really bad idea. Our first story is by SNJ. I worked at a call center of nurses to give advice on whether the caller needed to go to the ER, GP, manage symptoms at home, etc. As it is health advice, it is crucial to document everything. Because if someone was, for example, instructed to stay at home while exhibiting clear stroke symptoms, we'd be responsible. Well, a new manager was hired above our own floor manager to increase productivity as the number of calls increased rapidly. Beginning of blank. She felt it was necessary to reduce the time we spent on finishing on documenting after the call had ended. In addition to medical records, we had to fill out a short questionnaire about each call to monitor the reasons people call us. Internal purposes, not really my expertise. So it obviously took a while. Average time, I think, was around 3 minutes after each call. The new manager informed us that 90 seconds was going to be enough, and she had asked the IT department to make the program push us a new call after those 90 seconds, whether we were ready or not. The call would ring loudly, first on headphones and after 10 seconds on the computer's sound system. New patient information screen popped up, everything unfinished was pushed to the back, and we had to either decline the call, only allowed in emergencies, or let it ring and try to work over the ringing, which could not be muted. And it was horrible. The noise was unbearable, and just in a few hours, we workers complained so much that the new manager just told us to take the new call and finish up the old one while talking to the new patient. Cue malicious compliance. Patient information law, similar to HIPAA in the US, violations, here we come. Having two patients' info up at the same time, trying to figure out why the latter called and wrapping up the previous one. And how many documentations were written on the wrong patient's records. And we tried. It was even worse than before. It took us about an hour to realize it would never work, and so we took the new call, asked them to wait for a second, muted the call, and finished up the previous one. The customers were not happy, but us workers gladly directed them to avenues to give feedback through. The company got so many bad reviews and online complaints in the first 6 hours that they had to regroup and stay late on that Monday evening to undo everything. We went back to normal on Tuesday, 2 hours later than we should have opened due to reprogramming. The new manager was with us less than 3 months, and I don't miss her a bit. I had the most chaotic, headache-inducing 8.5 hours of my life that day. Still have nightmares of that ringtone. And then down below we have someone, quote, as it is health advice, it is crucial to document everything because if someone was, for example, instructed to stay at home while exhibiting clear stroke symptoms, we'd be responsible. And they say that this is a huge problem in medicine right now. My wife is a doctor, and they keep pushing more and more patients on her. She works at a clinic and is off by 5 p.m., but she was working until 9:30 last night trying to keep up with notes and documentation about patients she saw that day. And the problem is that management does not care about patient health. They want as many patients as possible to come through. If you start making mistakes, it is not on them, it is on you, and they do not care. Side note, wife just quit her job over a few days ago. I am encouraging her to start her own practice. To which Opie then said, I'm glad she quit. I'm also working somewhere where quality of care is put over quantity, charity-based organizations. I was so worried I'd make a mistake while rushing through the calls. It is hard to assess people without seeing them. You have to trust what they tell you and record everything they describe experiencing to prove your assessment. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't got a whole lot to say on this, other than the fact that that sounds terrible. I mean, so if you were to, like, say, get stuck on one patient and then go over the 90 seconds, then would you just keep on stockpiling people? Like, you'd go from one patient and then you wouldn't finish them, and then you would finish them and then go into another, and then all of a sudden the 90 seconds roll back again, and then you'd have a second patient back again, and then just over time, the accumulation, you would then get to 3 people waiting for you to finish? Like, that is such a terrible system. Alright, moving on. Now, before we continue on, I just want to ask that if you are enjoying this so far, that you consider recommending this channel to friends and family, or just people you know, because the help for this channel is greatly appreciated. So, to continue on, and now the next story comes from Aggravating Dot. I'm not sure if this belongs here or in Am I the A. Let's start with a bit of background. I work for a very big company, but due to my specialty, my work is split across the main company and one of the smaller companies. The MD of the main company allows my days to be split in half. The big company is very laid back when it comes to my work. As long as my work is done by the deadline date, they pretty much don't care what I do during the work week. In the smaller company, I report to the C-suite, but the CEO, let's call the CEO Ra, cause the sun doesn't rise until he gets out of bed, Ra is the most interested in what I do during the day. And if I didn't know better, I'd say that Ra thinks that I don't work, but just sit around playing computer games all day. Ra sends me anything between 20 to 30 emails to me per day, and more than half will be the same question just phrased differently. Each email response is usually anything from 2 to 5 typed pages. I have even had emails sent to me at 11 p.m. and 8:30 the following morning, an email asking why I haven't responded to the previous email. If I am asked the same question multiple times, I ignore the majority of the emails and only answer the question once. When I am working, I need to concentrate, and most days I close my email client so that I'm not disturbed. Last Monday, I'm working quite happily and I get a WhatsApp from asking me to please read an email and respond post-haste. To quote Ra, I stop what I'm doing as I get the sinking feeling that something bad is about to happen. As per usual, there are 30 emails from Ra. The first email starts off stating, "You must always answer emails as quickly as possible as it is unprofessional and shows disrespect to the writer of the email. Cue malicious compliance." I stop what I'm doing and start to respond to each email individually, making sure that my answers to the same questions are different. I further indicate that I only work for him half day and will stop my work at exactly the middle of the work day. I spend the next day and a half responding to emails and not doing my work, even though there's a deadline looming for Ra and his little company. These days, when I walk into the office in the morning, Ra seems to have spent the entire night responding to the emails and in the process dragging other members of staff into the email trail, and the email is getting so complex that I don't know what's going on. Yesterday, I was expected to have finished Ra's work, and when asked to present the outcome, I simply said that I had not finished. When asked why, my response was that I was too busy responding to emails that I wasn't able to do the work. Ra lost his mind and started to threaten me with firing. And he said that there was a customer that was waiting for the result of my work. He then asked why my emails put above doing my work, and all I did was produce a copy of the email. My boss from the big company was also present, and all she did was laugh. She then told Ra that I will no longer do any work for his company, and he must find somebody else. Wow, that is a good bit of malicious compliance. But I have to ask, so he's sending between 20 to 30 emails a day, and each email response is usually anything from 2 to 5 type pages. Is that you, OP? OP, are you typing 2 to 5 pages for each email, or is he typing 2 to 5 pages for each email? Because if so, that is insane, and an insane waste of time. You're a CEO and you're wasting your time with emails? I'm sorry, how did you get into the position of being a CEO at that rate? That is such terrible delegation of time management. Period, end of statement. That just sucks. But, continuing on to the comments. This is the epitome of fridge around and find out. You handled that situation amazingly, and your boss seems like a truly good boss to back you up and take you out of the situation. And I could not agree any more with that. The CEO fridged around with the whole entire, must respond to all emails, and guess what? He found out what 20 to 30 responses of emails will end him up with. No work. Alright, continuing on. And for the final story, which comes from Illustrious Log. So, my wife is having some issues at her work with multiple people on different levels of management telling her different things to do depending on who is the manager on duty at the moment. I said that she should do what the acting manager told her to do, and when another manager came on duty complaining about what she was doing, to relay that the previous manager had told her and to let them work it out. I also said that she should document everything so that she could relate it to HR if it became necessary to do so. I then explained to her about malicious compliance and what it meant. But then this started to make me think about an incident at my old job at a manufacturing plant about 12 years ago. The building had two areas, a production and packaging area and an attached shipping and receiving warehouse. The production area was air-conditioned and heated. The warehouse was heated but only had a roof exhaust fan and no AC, so it got pretty hot in the summer but was bearable. We just moved slower. On end of Friday, we closed all the dock doors and shut off the exhaust fans and closed the overhead door that separates the warehouse from the production area. During the week, the overhead was open but had those plastic flap strips that you could drive a forklift through to keep the cool air in production. One Friday, the newish manager, who spent little actual time in that building, told us that we should keep the fans on and the separation overhead door open during the weekend to keep the temperature cooler in the warehouse. Why he cared, I really cannot fathom. We tried to explain to him that with the dock doors closed, the roof fans would simply suck all the cold air out of the production area, but he blew us off with the standard, "You will do as I instruct you to do." So, cue malicious compliance. Monday comes that morning in July and it was hot as heck in the production zone, but the warehouse was the same temperature as always, and the coils on the production AC units had frozen and we had to have people come out and service them. All the manager had to say was, keep that separation overhead door closed at all times. You know, I understand that there's some really dumb people on this earth, but part of me is almost believing that the story is fake because why? Why did he want the overhead vent to be closed? Like, what is the reason? But to continuing on with the comments, oh yeah, someone actually points out a very good point. That Opie had mentioned the wife, and I wanted to say that malicious compliance, but someone in the comments says, keep us updated on if she does any malicious compliance. She as in the wife. I feel bad for her. I had managers like that pulled me from my department, then I'd get an unofficial talking to for not being in my department. I didn't mind helping others, but getting a line of people angry because they weren't helped fast and being told I needed to somehow not be found by managers and stay in my department was very frustrated. And yeah, I could not agree more. We need an update with the wife on what is going on there. So, anyways. Now, before I end this off, I just want to make it known that I have a Patreon where I'll be posting 3 videos a day, and just to cover the bases, I'll have you know that the 2 videos a day is still going on. But if you want to support me and get a little more content, then you can go over there for the low price of $1. And, as always, the support is really appreciated and will in turn be used to make better and better content as the days go on. But, enough of that. That is about it for those stories today, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe to become a fellow breadbag. Though, aside from that, I post 2 new videos every day on YouTube, so I hope to see you next time toasting session. But until then, have a good one.